Hello, I'm Yishuang from harbinmandarin.com. We previously learned how to use 比 to say that a person or thing is more of any quality than another. Today, we're going to learn two different ways of doing negative comparisons in Chinese. At the end of today's lesson, you will know how to say that a person or thing is not taller, richer, or more expensive than another, and how to say that a person or thing is not as tall, rich, or expensive as another. Our first way of doing negative comparisons is based on the word 比 that we learned previously for doing positive comparisons. 比 means is more than, and we can do negative comparisons by adding the word 不 in front of 比. 不 means not, and 比 means is more than. So 不比 means is not more than. Please repeat after me. No laughing, please. 不比不比不比 is not more than. So, using the structure X 不比 Y adjective, you can say X is not more adjective than Y. Let's look at some examples. To say he is not taller than me, we say 他不比我高. 他 means he. 不比 means is not more than. 我 means me, and 高 is an adjective meaning tall. Literally, he is not more than me tall. In other words, he is not taller than me. Please repeat after me. 他不比我高. 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 He is not taller than me. Today is not hotter than yesterday. 今天不比昨天热. 今天 means today. 不比 means is not more than. 昨天 means yesterday. And 热 is an adjective meaning hot. Literally, today is not more than yesterday hot. In other words, today is not hotter than yesterday. Please repeat after me. 今天不比昨天热. 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 Today is not hotter than yesterday. The Chinese word for expensive is 贵. Please repeat after me. 贵贵贵 expensive. Bananas are not more expensive than apples. 香蕉不比苹果贵. 香蕉 bananas. 不比 are not more than. 苹果 apples. And 贵 is an adjective meaning expensive. Literally, bananas are not more than apples expensive. In other words, bananas are not more expensive than apples. Please repeat after me. 香蕉不比苹果贵. 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 Bananas are not more expensive than apples. The opposite of expensive 贵 is 便宜 cheap. Please repeat after me. 便宜便宜便宜 cheap. Apples are not cheaper than bananas. 苹果不比香蕉便宜. 苹果 apples. 不比 are not more than. 香蕉 bananas. And 便宜 is an adjective meaning cheap. Apples are not more than bananas cheap. In other words, apples are not cheaper than bananas. Please repeat after me. 苹果不比香蕉便宜。苹果不比香蕉便宜。苹果不比香蕉便宜。Apples are not cheaper than bananas. Okay, let's have a quiz. I'll tell you the adjective to use for the comparison, and then you tell me how to say the sentence in Chinese. The Chinese word for handsome is 帅. Please repeat after me. 帅, 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 handsome. How do you say he is not more handsome than you? That's correct. 他不比你帅. Please repeat after me. 他不比你帅。他不比你帅。他不比你帅。He is not more handsome than you. Cute in Chinese is 可爱. Please repeat after me. 可爱，可爱，可爱 cute. How do you say she is not cuter than me? That's right. 她不比我可爱。Please repeat after me. 她不比我可爱。她不比我可爱。她不比我可爱。She is not cuter than me. The Chinese word for big is 大. Please repeat after me. 大，大，大 big. How do you say Shanghai is not bigger than Beijing? Exactly. 上海不比北京大。Please repeat after me. 上海不比北京大。上海不比北京大。上海不比北京大。Shanghai is not bigger than Beijing. The second way of doing negative comparisons uses 没有 to say that a person or thing is not as tall, smart, beautiful, or expensive as another. You may have learned 没有 means don't have, but in comparisons it has the meaning is not as. Please repeat after me. 没有，没有，没有 is not as. Here's the structure. X 没有 Y adjective, which means X is not as adjective as Y. Let's look at some examples. Today is not as cold as yesterday. 今天没有昨天冷。今天 means today. 没有 means is not as. 昨天 means yesterday, and 冷 is an adjective meaning cold. Literally, today is not as yesterday cold. In other words, today is not as cold as yesterday. Please repeat after me. 今天没有昨天冷。今天没有昨天冷。今天没有昨天冷。Today is not as cold as yesterday. I am not as famous as him. 我没有他有名。我 means I. 没有 means am not as. 他 him, and 有名 is an adjective meaning famous. Literally, I am not as him famous. In other words, I am not as famous as him. Please repeat after me. 我没有他有名。我没有他有名。我没有他有名。 I am not as famous as him. Bananas are not as tasty as mangoes. 香蕉没有芒果好吃。香蕉 bananas. 没有 are not as. 芒果 mangoes. And 好吃 is an adjective meaning tasty or delicious. Literally, bananas are not as mangoes tasty. In other words, bananas are not as tasty as mangoes. Please repeat after me. 香蕉没有芒果好吃。香蕉没有芒果好吃。香蕉没有芒果好吃。Bananas are not as tasty as mangoes. Okay, let's have another quiz. Again, I'll tell you the adjective to use for the comparison, and then you tell me how to say the sentence in Chinese. The Chinese word for rich is 有钱. Please repeat after me. 有钱，有钱，有钱 rich. How do you say we are not as rich as them? That's right. 我们没有他们有钱。Please repeat after me. 我们没有他们有钱。我们没有他们有钱。我们没有他们有钱。We are not as rich as them. Humorous is 幽默。Please repeat after me. 幽默，幽默，幽默 humorous. How do you say, I am not as humorous as him? Correct. 我没有他幽默。Please repeat after me. 我没有他幽默。我没有他幽默。我没有他幽默。I am not as humorous as him. Busy is 忙. Please repeat after me. 忙，忙，忙 busy. How do you say you are not as busy as her? Exactly. 你没有他忙。Please repeat after me. 你没有他忙。你没有他忙。你没有他忙。You are not as busy as her. One thing you should be aware of is that when using 没有 to do a negative comparison, the 有 part is optional. So to say he is not as tall as me, besides saying 他没有我高, you can also omit 有 and just say 他没我高. Please repeat after me. 他没我高。他没我高。他没我高。He is not as tall as me. And to say I am not as famous as him, besides saying 我没有他有名, you can also omit 有 and just say 我没他有名. Please repeat after me. 我没他有名。我没他有名。我没他有名。I am not as famous as him. So, what's the difference between using 不比 and 没有 for a negative comparison? If I say 她不比我漂亮, she is not more beautiful than me, then she might be less beautiful than me, or she might be as beautiful as me. In other words, her beauty is less than or equal to my beauty. However, if I say 她没有我漂亮 or 她没我漂亮, then I'm saying she is not as beautiful as me. In other words, her beauty is less than my beauty. Also, if I say 他不比我高, he is not taller than me, then he might be shorter than me, or he might be the same height as me. His height is less than or equal to my height. However, if I say 他没有我高 or 他没我高, he is not as tall as me, then it means his height is less than my height. Okay, that's all for this lesson. In this lesson, we learned 2 different ways of doing negative comparisons in Chinese. I hope you have found this lesson useful. Did you enjoy this lesson? Please click like below and leave me a comment. If you are interested in my private Chinese lessons, please visit my website, harbinmandarin.com, and send me a message. I'll see you guys next time. 再见!